Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Senor Nerd Podcast. I have here with me Ramon,
Hey guys.
and we're here today to talk about episode 7 of Demon Slayer Swordsmith Village Arc. And today, sadly, our co host Raul couldn't make it. I think he might have gone looking for me since I wasn't here last week. Ramon, any idea where Raul's at?
I mean, you guys definitely missed each other, but I know last week he was showing a little bit of interest about my basement, so not surprised if he's down there right now, just kind of hanging out, without me
kind of
knowing.
kind of creeping out. I mean, that sounds like typical Raul a little bit.
Yeah, he's hanging
um,
he's hanging out with all my dolls and stuff.
No, man, and I heard the episode you guys did without me, and I just want to say that I loved everything that you guys said. I know there was the recurrent theme of me on my way to Japan to go save Tokito, and as much as I would like to say that that's what I was doing, man. Just for anybody who just was wondering, what actually ended up happening was that there was a local food truck, and I just had some really bad taquitos, and it really, really, man, messed me up, and I was down for a couple of days, but I feel a lot better. So I'm ready to start recording, talk about the new episode. And if I have to give any advice to our listeners out there is if you ever find yourself getting food from a food truck that doesn't have a name and their Taco Tuesday special is every day of the week, maybe don't get tacos from them, okay? Because again, I had a couple taquitos that really, really did not do good for me.
That's hilarious, man. And here we were thinking that you were going to come back with some cool story about a new type of breathing,
No.
but maybe it's some kind of struggle breathing, if you know what I mean.
I mean, I was definitely fighting some demons, but not, but not the demons that Tanjiro was fighting.
Oh man, well we'll just call it the same thing, so we're good. You Demon
So,
Slayer, you get him.
but Ramon, I'm eager to hear how much did you like this episode? I think honestly, you guys got the best episode last week without me, but this one was
Yeah,
still good. So you tell me how much did you enjoy it?
man. Well, yo, here I definitely was not. I can't. Okay, so I'm gonna put it this way. I wasn't as excited about it after watching it, but it wasn't because it wasn't good, right? But because in typical anime fashion, here we are. We hit kind of a little bit of a climax, a little part where I thought it was maybe gonna be the end, and maybe excuse me because I haven't read the manga and I'm a little bit behind. And even though I probably saw a few spoilers by seeing kind of like that extra form of the demon, I
Hmm.
still had no clue what was coming in my head, and I started watching it. And there you are, Tanjiro going to decapitate, and it doesn't happen, and instead you get a whole another new demon. And obviously, as exciting as that was, I just knew that was gonna just prolong the whole fight some more. But no, man, I really enjoyed it. I think as we keep watching it, there's so many good things that we'll still be able to talk about in this episode. That as a newbie to Demon Slayer, that I'm really excited to discuss and things that came up. So overall, good.
No, no, you guys talked about some interesting theories from last week that I might want to bring them up again,
Yeah, absolutely.
specifically with Genya. But something that was bothering me about from like last week's episode where it ended with Genya was like stabbed pretty much like 60% of his body. Like, dude, can I ask you a question? Like, I understand that, and I'm still shocked that they haven't explained what the fudge is happening with him specifically. Okay, but I understand at this point we're led to believe that he can all of a sudden like reheal his body, but
Yeah.
how is his clothes getting like back to normal? That's the part that's really really bothered me at this point.
Dude,
Watching the whole episode.
he has some secret like fairy godmother hanging out with him. No, you know what? And it's funny because until this moment, I totally didn't even catch that. Right? Not only the clothing, but just the fact that he went from the last episode being in holes, right? Like holes all over. Like my man was Swiss cheese. I was so ready to put him on a sandwich. But no, like yeah, and then automatically, like the first scene that we see him in this one, he's like back to normal, and like you said, his clothes is not freaking torn up and holy. It's pretty back together. So good thing I didn't even pay attention to that, but
N-
absolutely
it's it,
confusing.
it's those small details. It's like if you're gonna, especially when you're binging this, or just from a continuity standpoint, like if they ever want to just make it like one long movie, like that's kind of bothered me. The idea that like we left off in the last episode and he was completely beat up, and I kind of would have had to have seen himself like heal up a little bit, or just kind of something more with it. Because again, this episode he was just like back to normal. But no, man, I'm loving Kenya. I'm really loving everything that he's bringing into the season. Honestly, man, you might not like what I'm about to say, but I feel like if we get Tanjiro and Senetsu, and we get Genya to replace what's
Inosuke
their
Inosuke.
Inosuke, man. I feel like we got a pretty good team going on. Maybe we can say that Inosuke went out to the mountains and never came back.
I mean, can we just add freaking Genya as an extra member instead of kicking out Inosuke? Because I don't know. I mean, again, I haven't read the manga. I'm pretty sure Inosuke's gonna do some great stuff. But even now, though, I know you always underplay him, but I still like to have him around. I think he's the guy that Tanjiro needs to kind of give him a little bit of that like competition. But no, I think you're right, man. Genya last episode won me over, and I know we didn't get a chance to talk like about it, me and you. But I definitely really won. I was won over by his story, right? And I know me and Raul discussed how the whole thing of like it made it seem like he was about to die, right? Because every time that a demon is about to die, they tell a little bit about like his story. They do a little bit of flashback. They give you some emotional like story that makes you just really like empathize for him, and then ultimately they're dead or decapitated or disintegrated. And yeah, now that you mention it more and more, I'm getting more upset that they didn't show Genya with holes, or they didn't have like a longer recovering process, or at least addressed it in the beginning of this
Yeah,
episode. But to be
because
fair, there was so much other things that kind of did happen in the episode that I totally forgot about.
no, just because the way the episode starts is Tanjiro was about to strike this little tiny form of the upper form demon, and he hits him with a sword, and I guess he just wasn't able to do it, man. Like this demon must be made out of like some hardcore steel. You get the intro theme song, which again, that song has grown on me a lot. I actually love it a lot. I love that whole intro, the beat of it. And then you get the continuation of the episode, and he just cannot cut the head of this demon. Like, and I think he kind of blames it on the fact that
The
Nezuko's
dragons.
blood. What? No, well, he says that Nezuko's blood kind of like what was making his sword red kind of like went away, so he
That's
kind of
true.
blamed it on that. So I don't know if that was really the reason, or this demon's just really really indestructible at this point, the tiny
I
one.
mean, I was definitely kind of again seeing that Genya completely failed, right? And that was the highlight of last episode too. It was pretty funny to see Genya really build up this momentum after looking around like him for crazy, and then he goes to decapitate him. And he can't, but it's even worse, right? Because his blade snaps right at the neck. But at least with Tanjiro, you're seeing that freaking blade like really dig into the neck,
Slowly.
like yeah, really slowly. And then you're right, I guess the flame, the blood demon art that freaking Nezuko added to the sword does go away. And I guess that's where he starts slowing down. But then, I mean, I feel like it was more also because he got interrupted by those big old wooden dragons. I almost thought
Hmm.
freaking Naruto, the first Hokage, was in here out of nowhere.
No, yeah, like it's funny with these demons. Like I noticed that they always tend to like use some kind of instrument, like musical instrument, to like do their attacks. Like we also had that one demon that used to be an upper 12 where he kind of had the drums, and I'm like, oh, cool. Like we're kind of hitting that again, like another demon that can do certain things with drums. And let me ask you that, like, I don't speak Japanese, but there was definitely like I think four or five of them. Does that mean that like depending on the drum that he hits, it could create like a different kind of attack? Is that what's happening here? Like right now he's hitting the drum to summon the snakes, but is another drum beat gonna summon something completely totally different?
I think so. And you know what? Like, I feel like the second time that I watched it, I should have paid more attention to that too, because you're right, right? With five, I believe it is five drums around his whole body, which looks really cool. Well, I mean, like we didn't even mention the whole introduction of freaking hatred, right? Like the fifth demon, I guess, or was it sixth demon? What would it be
He's
then?
yeah, like the 60
He's
man,
the
because he's like, oh, now there's six of them, but then all of a sudden he couldn't smell the other four.
because he consumes the four, and then the one who is fear, like the original one, is still around. So yeah, I guess he's a 16 man. But yeah, he appears, and man, oh my god, like he looked so cool, right? And also like I think they mentioned it right away that he was significantly younger. Like he's basically a kid, but the fact that
Hmm.
he has like this like beautiful like freaking body wear. These beautiful like dressings, and then he has like this, awesome like all the drums around him. But yeah, like you're right, like it totally brought the whole idea of like the instrument art again to it, and I think I saw him hit two of them at least throughout the episode. But
Mm.
now, if you are asking me again, I can't even tell you what the second one might have done. But definitely might have been just a way of kind of controlling the dragons, right? Like something for like attack and something for retreat. But I mean, he was pretty cool, man. I was really impressed by those dragons too. Little
No, no,
chimera.
no, yeah, and I mean, thankfully we had Kenya that even though he said that it happened in a second, he was able to kind of show us like exactly how that transformation
Oh,
happened.
it's beautiful.
And Dude, that was so cool. Like I guess I don't understand why he was able to like suck up anger. I don't understand why anger was able to suck up joy and the other one pleasure at the same time just by calling them. Why did he have to like move forward towards sorrow? Couldn't he have sucked up sorrow from a distance? Like I guess that's the part that I was a little bit confused with.
Well, I mean, so was it Genya was the one that was watching this, right? So I
Yeah.
think Genya said it too when he was describing it, which again, it was beautiful that they did that because then you were actually seeing not only magically you have another demon, they were showing the whole process. And I think Genya's the one that was saying that he saw Sorrow, like the last one that he was sucking up, almost mutter, like say something as he was
Yeah.
kind of about to be sucked up. So you can tell that all these guys are afraid of hatred, right? And then that's a cool thing too about this demon, that like that you're seeing that all the different emotions have different personalities clearly. But then apparently hatred, it just has to be the most terrifying one because first of all, the first two didn't have any choice, and then like you said, sorrow was more like trying to not run away, but like definitely like don't do it.
Contested. Yeah, like don't do it.
Yeah. So I mean, I think if anything, it just shows it was trying to show that even they are afraid of hatred. That it was just,
Okay.
it wasn't just like, oh, cool, like this is our like superior demon form, like let's all like combine into a Megazord and freaking fight Tanjiro. It was more like, oh man, don't suck me up, and that's totally what happened. But it was really cool, man. I really enjoyed the whole hatred or anger sucking them up and then ultimately transforming into hatred.
Yeah. So do you think like okay, like was it Anger's call to like suck them up? Like could any of the other ones maybe had the potential of like sucking each other up? I mean, I'm not trying to make this dirty. I'm trying to
No,
like
no, no, yeah.
could Sorrow had been the one to say like, "Oh, hey guys, we need to transform. Come over here and anger and joy and let's combine." Like I guess I would like to know more about their personalities because I'm kind of thinking to myself like if you think about it, anger turned when once he combined everybody, they turn into hatred. So if sorrow had been the one to combine them all, could they have turned into like super sadness or something like some other kind of
Oh.
some kind of another level of emotion to that demon? Like I'm almost kind of a little bit. I don't know. I don't think we'll ever get that explanation. But I'm
No.
also kind of like thinking about like why was anger the specific one that had the power to call them or suck them up, like could any of them have done that? And it's just like it tells you what an interested demon this guy has been, because I think when we talk about like Gyoko, like he's not really doing too much for me on when we go back to his fights, but
It's
this guy's like,
annoying.
man, this guy's like give me like different levels to like bring ideas or just kind of like think about him. Once we're done with the episode, I continue to think about him, just like, man, how did he do that? Or like I just really like him. And like to what you said, just the way he looks, man, it's pretty nice. Like I love
Yeah.
that design.
No, and it's awesome that you say that because I think compared to Gyoko at this point, like definitely even though I was a little upset that here we are again, that the fight is getting prolonged, that we're still gonna see maybe a couple more episodes before he's truly finished. Yeah, like you're right. I definitely enjoy watching this demon. Again, I maybe spoiled by an image or two of the hatred form, but even then, I still wanted to see it. Once I saw it, I was actually really excited. And I think to your point, like yeah, I think if we were to use our imagination, absolutely, I think it would be something interesting to see that if it was like pleasure, the one that kind of sucked up some more of the demons and then became like extra pleasure. But I think but I think I think with the with the whole situation of fear, the fear demon at this point is kind of more in that state of like survival, and he was this close to being decapitated by Tanjiro.
Hmm.
I think the only emotion to really truly come out and to really have come out was hatred, and it makes sense. I
Yeah.
mean, and if you think about it, of course, like anger being the angry form, it's sitting here at this point getting probably even more angry about the whole situation, right? Like he's getting angry that at this point Tanjiro's getting so close to destroying fear, and supposedly we think that is the ultimate one you have to decapitate, so you kill the whole thing. And because of that reason, he took that rash action of sucking everyone in and then ultimately becoming hatred. And then, yeah, like in the beginning, you kind of wanted to think about like anger and hatred the same thing, but I mean, it's completely different. Like, I
Yeah.
personally can get very angry at a lot of things, right? A lot of things. Some people here and there, like anger is such a, I guess, easy or quick minded emotion that you can access pretty easy. But
Yeah. But to hate
hatred,
say yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's plenty of people out there that are always like, "Oh, I hate this thing," or "I hate this," and I am the opposite. I'm not one of those people that I think that we should give power to certain things, and giving being like hating something means that you're putting so much effort into hating something, and I don't like that idea. So for me personally, I don't hate things, sir. Like I don't hate a lot of stuff because I don't like giving them power. So I think that's that kind of this exact same thing that's going on here. There needs to be so much power focused into the whole fight that then it becomes hatred, and then hatred is going to be the ultimate form of like effort into killing Tanjiro and winning the whole fight. So I don't know, it's
No,
awesome, man.
no, no, and I actually expected him when he was, he was summoned, and the way his personality caught me a little bit off guard because even though
Ooh,
his hatred, he's a little bit more like to me. He felt like, hey, I'm justice. Like I'm here, somebody that's like you were picking on the little guy, so I'm coming to your face because all of a sudden I'm the defender of the little people, and it's like Tanjiro kind of called that out and said
it's
like
all
you're
bullshit.
yeah, yeah, it's like it's all bullshit, man. Like you beating like 200 people, and you're gonna sit here and talk about the little guy. But no, man, this demon, um, I'm super excited to see more of him. I think right now the frustration with the episode is the fact that they keep splitting between Tokito and this fight with Tanjiro, and it just so happens that Tanjiro's fight's a little bit more meaningful or has a little bit more, more to it. There's just more to it with Gyoko and Tokito right now. It's just kind of like it's just very like Tokito's finally getting out of the water prison, so hopefully we'll see a little bit more in the next
Yeah.
episode. But yeah, it's just I want to see more of this fight with Tanjiro, but again, it's just I don't know, man. I guess they're trying. I guess they don't want us to forget about Tokito and Gyoko, but yeah, it's just a little frustrating.
And I think if anything, that's the more frustrating part of the story because like Tokito is stuck in that water prison, and so yeah, like you're right. While freaking Tanjiro and Genya and Nezuko are like doing this incredible like fight, even Nezuko when she like saved Tanjiro like from the wooden dragons, like
Are
she
they
got
wood?
dismembered.
Are they wooden or are they stone? I feel like they're
Uh,
made out of stone.
I mean, I could find a picture again. I thought they were wood. That's why I was talking about like freaking Hashirama in the beginning. I'm like,
Not,
Mr. My
no,
boy, yeah,
Now I
maybe.
understand why that reference, but to me, I was thinking like the other kind of had some elements attack. Like we've seen
Yeah.
electricity, we've seen when only the sorrow didn't really have a thing in the flying one. But I guess to me, it felt like stone. But yeah, you gotta definitely look it up because I want to know if it's either wood or stone that you've
Yeah.
seen.
I mean, and then so yeah, so of course, like you're sitting here like wanting more from the Tokito thing, and before we kind of get more into that, because you had a point about like again hatred. I think he did catch me by surprise because he was like so young, and he came into it like almost like, oh, this is gonna be more me getting justice for what you're trying to do to this poor little innocent like fearful demon, and he's over here like trying to like basically he has it wrong, right? He's so angry, like he's again one of those people that's like hating um and the true form and is kind of a little bit off, and I love some of the words that he said because I think he said something about like brutal friends who torment others or to
Oh
torment the
damn!
weak. No, yeah, because like dude, I was like I was listening to it and I was like, this guy's really passionate and he's really making Tanjiro and Dum seem like they are truly the bad guys that even we believed it, right? Because we're like, oh wait, you're right. Like they're freaking beating up on a little tiny demon. Like Tanjiro, what are you doing, bro? Like, but no, and I think then the whole like title of the show called "Awful Villain," I love that idea too. How you basically called Tanjiro and everybody else like awful villains. So yeah, he was so disgusted by them, man. I really like that weird like dynamic that he was truly is disgusted by them and that he thought that they were terrible people. And then you're right, Tanjiro fucking called bullshit and they just
No.
reversed the whole thing.
No, and I know in the past you guys, like you guys are always worried about me spoiling things. I know you even last episode you
Yeah.
like oh we don't have the manga master here, but like dude, I'm honestly in the same boat as you and Raul or anybody that's been watching this show without reading the manga. Like I cannot remember how this demons gets taken down. I can't remember how Gyoko gets taken down. So for the next couple episodes, unless something happens and I'm sort of like Tokito, that's like, oh wait, I'm starting to remember like
Oh
things
yeah.
like I have no idea what's gonna happen, and I'm really excited for it because it's just like we still like the love Hashira hasn't even shown up, and I don't know where she's gonna show up. The intro has me believe she's gonna show up to save Tanjiro, but I don't know. Maybe she's gonna show up with Tokido. Like I still don't know where the love Hashira is gonna be placed specifically, so I'm interested to like get more of her.
I feel, and you know what? It's funny because Tokito keeps like talking about needing help because he is in a Voldemort spot, so he thinks he needs it. But yeah, I mean, maybe he'll go to him because that kind of seems like, but he is a Hashira, so he doesn't need the help. So maybe she will. Maybe she'll go with Tanjiro, Genya, and Nezuko because she's gonna be like, oh, they're the ones that are like not Hashiras. They'll need more help. But dude, before we get off of the freaking hatred demon, how much did you love his freaking voice and that power that he had of what was almost like that tormenting, like, what is it? They were like shook. They couldn't move. Like freaking Ganya was struggling. He couldn't like breathe. Like
Well,
Tanjiro was like, my heart hurts.
well, dude, I'm gonna be honest, and this goes back to like what an impression the sixth upper moon left on me. But the sixth upper demon, if it was him that had all of a sudden been summoned, he would have killed them in an instant. And the idea that like now we have an upper four who's a lot stronger than an upper six, and the idea that he's just kind of like standing there and relying on these stone tricks that he's like snakes that he's like summoning. I'm like, dude, like you need to just like get your ass and like move fast or do some of these crazy like abilities. Like I almost wish that they would stop attacking with like elemental abilities and just start focusing more on like sword fights because I think he can instantly kill all of them if he really wanted to. So to me, it even feels like he's maybe potentially playing with them right now. But yeah, though they
Yeah.
have every reason to believe that at any moment this demon could decapitate them because I don't feel like they're at the Hashira level and whatever thing they managed to get an upper hand on them, like that's gone now. Like that's completely gone, and they are clearly like back to being like in like I'm gonna say like in like a territory where they're like a little bit fucked, if somebody
But
doesn't come and rescue them.
yeah, but I'm saying like, isn't it more than just them being afraid though? Like I felt like it was like some sort of power of his that he has this
Mm,
presence to him. Because like even the second time that I watched it, like I think when he first activated that, he kind of just like everything vibrated and like the cameras got fuzzy, and the next thing you know, like Tanjiro like all of a sudden he like starts like he holds his heart. He's like, "What is this? Like it's getting harder to breathe." It's like my heart's hurting, and then I think at the same time, Genya is also sitting here like this whole time. It's like, why can't I move my muscles? Like I can't move. Like so basically, like yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think there was more to it. I think there was definitely more like hatred does have a weird power that he kind of
yeah.
his presence alone, or maybe he beat a drum and we missed that quick second. But there is something more that did cause them to physically like struggle to breathe because
No, no,
like yeah,
no, no, I think you're right because
yeah,
think about it. We've been in the Tanjiro has been in the presence of a Upper Moon 3 with Akasa, and when Akasa showed up, he didn't all of a sudden stop moving or say like, "Hey, I can't breathe," because this
yeah,
guy's like sucking up all the air. So there could be something with that demon that we're just not seeing.
it's
Because again,
awesome.
to
Yeah,
me, yeah, because to me, like he almost seems like he's portraying himself as a superhero, even though at the time, there's probably no such thing. So to
yeah.
him, he just has to be like, "I'm the protector of justice," and somebody from somebody's eyes that if they're watching like from a far away distance, they could say like, "Oh man, that guy's like, all of a sudden like they're idolizing the way he's coming across, against these demon slayers because he is making himself feel like you're the enemy and I'm the good guy, and once I defeat you, everything's gonna be okay." Which obviously we know that's not the case at all. We definitely want Tanjiro to win.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm just excited to see more of him, right? Because yeah, he seems pretty crazy. I want to see what his other drums do. So anything he can kind of do, I don't know. That fight is just like at this point again. I was kind of disappointed that there wasn't more quicker and that we're prolonging the fight. But at the same time, now that you're bringing in another contender, I'm so excited. Like I'm so here for it. Like I'm gonna grab my popcorn and just sit there and just keep
No,
watching it. But
no, no. Maybe that's when we for the next episode we do a reaction video, and then when
oh,
he hits those drums, we'll start like dancing a little bit of
oh,
our
yeah,
Mexican side to
let's
those.
go.
Latinos, they hear those drums and.
Yo, some tamborazo, let's go all the way. But yeah, man, and so then yeah, and then yeah, then sadly anticlimactic, we're back with Tokito and in his water prison. And I think what was really sad for me, like watching that, is that, and he's not gonna really be powerless. But it is kind of sad to see him, like I think he did one more move, right? Like he's like, oh, with my like I have a little bit of breath left. Let me try one more move. And he does like this thrust attack, and he can't even penetrate to the freaking water prison. So he's getting to the point where he's losing hope. Which is when he starts having those flashbacks, right? With that point, he thinks that it's like freaking Tanjiro talking to him. But then slowly we kind of start seeing that it's not Tanjiro. I
Yeah.
don't know what were your impressions about that, but I love that too.
What's kind of funny, he's like, wait, Tanjiro, you never said those words. So that to me, that was pretty funny.
Well, even then, Tanjiro is pretty new to him too, right? Like he's ignored him like a lot of the times, like in the beginning, and then even in like through this arc, like he's always been like, "Who are you?" Until like that significant moment that is now coming back to where we need to be, right? Where he's telling him like, "Oh, save others or help others, and that will always come around and they'll help you."
Yeah.
I thought that was great, man. I think it's
Well,
just like, yeah,
I mean, could we talk about it? I know, like,
yeah, yeah,
there's a little bit more in the middle of it, but in the final review, we find out that the reality, he's not seeing Tanjiro. It's really his like father that was giving him these words of advice. So I thought that was kind of like really emotional and cool, and it kind of cracks me up a little that the idea that like Tanjiro and his father have both the same red eyes. So I'm like, man, like it all goes back to like this whole idea that like Tanjiro in a way is related to like sun breeding people, because
yeah.
it's like it's just like so obvious that Ramon. I'm so sad for you if like at some point you just find out that Tanjiro is just not related to them, because it's like they are definitely like like making you feel like Tanjiro has to be at least like five. It's one of those things where you take an ancestry exam and you find out like you're 1% Jewish. Like Tanjiro has to be like 5% sun breeding, man. Like he has to be.
I mean, there's no way he's not more, right? And that's the crazy thing. Like you're right. It would, I think, not only me, but it would be really disappointing for like all the general population that hasn't read the manga, that just kind of is going through this whole thing, and you're like, you can't make me be that dumb that I'm believing that he is like a descendant of the sun breathers and all this stuff, because he has that freaking scar mark slash like powerful mark on his forehead. He has like the earrings that are clearly from that like descended, I mean, not descended, ancestor of his. And now you have like this commonality of like the trait of the red
Dude,
eyes, which now
can
Tokito has, his dad has the same eyes, so they're cousins.
dude, can I tell you a theory of me? I'm
Well,
starting to believe that, when he had that flashback and, they're Tanjiro's like grandparents or whoever they were, ancestors, like I got a feeling that the samurai that was staying with them, he might have hooked up with the mom while the dad was maybe doing some coal mining, and maybe maybe that's where Tanjiro gets this his genes from, and it's just one of those things that's like never really spoken about. But dude, there has to be something. But that's my theory right now, that the first samurai sort of slept with the mom, and that's how that blood got in
well,
there.
I don't trust that flashback slash stream whatsoever, because that boy looked just like Tanjiro himself, and I'm like, that can't be his dad because he looks like Tanjiro. And if you want to believe that Sun Dance dude is truly like his dad or someone more significant, then how does Tanjiro's dad look like Tanjiro? But obviously, we knew that it
Yeah.
was like more of a dream slash like what is it called, a memory that
Like
he has,
like
inherited memory.
I inherited memory from like a long time ago. Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
just I don't know, man. All these clues, man. I'm gonna start a Reddit page about all
yeah.
this conspiracies of Tanjiro's real bloodline. But no, man. I thought it was really cool, and I think you're the one that was telling me that you caught what his real like Tokito's real name is, which I thought was really cool. I don't know if you can pull that up out of your sleeves right now.
I'll be in right now. No, no, in a second. Caught me a little off guard. Oh no, no, it's freaking Muichiro.
Muichiro, and dude,
Yeah,
that's such a cool name. I don't even, for me, I don't know what the meaning behind that name is. It could have like a very significant meaning in Japanese culture, but I just like when he said it, man. He said it like in the best way. That's like, shit, can that be my name, my middle name?
and you know what? It's funny because you said it earlier when we were talking about the hatred, the demon, and just his drums, and you wish you could read Japanese because you would love to see like what everything says. I was actually really disappointed with freaking Crunchyroll for not translating the drums for me because like we were over here translating like the freaking characters and the tongues of the demons and then the eyes of the demons, but we can't go to the extent of giving us that much.
Well,
That's funny.
well, you know what's funny? Like in the last episode, when they showed the Wind Hashira's shirt, it said in my subtitles it said destroyed, but when I had seen his first introduction, it said I believe it said like kill. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, you guys went from kill to destroy. Like, okay, are you guys just playing with me now?
Well, and to my understanding, isn't destroy the motto of the demon slayers? Because I think that's everybody has the destroy one. Because I know Tanjiro, every time they show it, it is destroy.
Oh,
But
really?
you might be like you probably were right, and I might have missed that where when they showed the other
Shit,
guys for a little bit. Yeah,
that's pretty badass if they all have destroy. Like,
dude, we need jackets. We need jackets that say destroy in the back, man. Just destroy in the back, and maybe just like a little face of a demon, so people know what we're talking about, and not confuse us for something else, but no, but yeah, dude, man. With Tokito, like I think it. One of the things that I am enjoying watching right now is that his story is developing too, right? And I almost feel like at this point we're so distracted with Tanjiro and Genya and all that other fight because it's so much more eventful, that we are forgetting that at this point, like Tokito doesn't really remember a lot of his stuff, like right, like his memory is gone, like he's slowly through this arc remembering things. And again, I, like everyone else, like watching this for the first time, is being introduced to him, and I think I'm enjoying the journey of seeing like little bits and pieces of his history because we still don't know where he comes from besides being a descendant of the Sun Breathers. That's all we know, basically, right? We just saw his dad. I obviously the leader of the Hashiras, I forget his name right now, but he seems to be a very significant person for him because he's the one that saved them. So, anyways, like I'm also loving the whole idea that you are finding more about Tokito, and as
Yeah.
he's kind of going through all this, like he is growing as a person too, because he admitted it when he's in that water prison, right? He's basically, or when he's like talking to his dad, the vision of his dad, he's saying that because he was so cocky, basically, right, that he was so confident in his ability as a Hashira, he messed up. And that's why he's stuck in that situation where, he says, who's going to save me? No one is stronger than me. So like I'm basically screwed. And it's a kind of arrogance and cockiness that perhaps did put him in that water prison to begin with. Which I think is pretty funny once you have that little kid from the Swordsmith village show up to try to save him. Because because then it's not the person that he expects, right? He's telling in his mind the freaking leader of the Hashiras. He's telling them, "Oh, let's send me 2 Hashiras because I'm about to die, and only 2 Hashiras can save me or save everyone else." And it's not. It's a little kid that comes over here and magnificently, creates this like whole experience, and then he ends up saving him. But
No, no, yeah, man. I was gonna ask you. I mean, I don't know if you would want to do this, in our own personal times, but there's an experiment I want to do with you, Ramon.
oh no, yeah.
I have a local community pool. If you have some swimming trunks, come over. We'll go swim. We'll both go underwater and we'll throw bubbles at each other and see how much we can last underwater. So, I'll just be throwing bubbles at you and you be throwing bubbles back at me because I definitely want to go on Mythbusters and try to prove that
I
prove
don't know,
that you can
man.
do that.
That sounds like your whole wedding pictures all over again in the on the beach
but
and all the
but
yeah.
but
But anyways,
but
yeah.
but I mean, it was a little bit ridiculous, right? The idea that he just kind of like put his lips on the water prison and was able to like blow some air into him.
Well, I mean, it threw me off, man. Well, no, it makes sense because like there's other movies and stuff where you've seen where people have something filled with air, like even if it's
Yeah.
a plastic bag with air, and I'm pretty sure you could do that. That's an
Well, that
experiment we could do.
that's
Yeah,
the experiment I want to do. That's exactly what I was talking about. Like we'll
you just
go
want to make out,
underwater.
dude. You just make out.
No,
We're
no,
cousins.
no. I never said kiss. I said we would go underwater and throw bubbles at each other from a distance, and you would catch
Yeah.
them.
I know, I got you, man. I got you. No, but it was really cool though, because I mean, there was the scene where like the new type of fish with the little scissor hands, right, comes out,
I don't
creepiest
know
thing ever,
where.
and a
Yeah.
little mustache. Like, what's up with the little mustache, man? Like that was too
Oh,
funny.
that's something I wanted to ask. Are all of Gyoko's creature designs always
Fish.
based on water or like some kind of water type stuff?
So far, it seems to be, man, because like
Hmm.
all he has so far is different type of koi fish, right? And this one
Yeah.
was a little different, but it not only did it have like a mustache, but it had like two very sharp, like kind of claws, and it surprised me. I did not expect that because at this point, and we still haven't talked about this detail, right? At this point, Gyoko himself is in the shed, right? Because well, in the very beginning of this whole thing, like he's like over there confronting Tokito, and he's saying like, "Oh, like you're fake like stoicism, and you're acting really tough, but you're about to die. Like, let me go check out what's inside that shed that you're so trying to protect, right?" And he goes into the shed, and I think it was one of the funniest part about the episode, and I think I enjoyed that scene probably a little bit more
No, it
than
was pretty
anything else.
funny.
Other than meeting the hatred demon, it was pretty great, right? Because he goes in the shed, and what does he find? He finds like the two Swordsmiths, the one who's clear in the beginning trying to protect the other one because he's letting him work, and then you have like freaking Tanjiro Swordsmith.
Yeah,
I forget,
Haganesuko is his name. It's a little bit long, but
if you
yeah.
say so, yeah. And my man is over here like working pretty hard, right? He's really trying to polish that 300-year-old sword that Tanjiro and the kid got him, for them to restore. And I think one of my favorite parts was that Gyoko was so freaking thrown off by his determination, right? I think he even compliments him. He's like, wait, what? Like, what is this focus? Like, what is this focus and determination that even me
Oh,
as an artist doesn't have? Like, and he was jealous. Like, he was
no,
so
he was
jealous.
jealous. That's what I
Yeah.
think. I think he was just jealous. The idea that somebody could be so addicted to like their art that it's just like everything around them doesn't even matter. He doesn't even know that he's getting whipped or there's other people in that same shack as him. So it's just like yeah, like same as you, man. I thought it was really funny, and it's just like the idea of this demon saying like, "I can kill this guy instantly," but that's not what I want. I wanted to like pay attention to me.
He want to get his concentration. He's like, I want to destroy his concentration, and it's cool, right? Because he does like end up whipping him a couple times with some water whips, and then he ends up breaking his mask. So we finally see like freaking Tanjiro
Dude,
Swordsmith's face, like, dude,
beautiful,
good looking
gorgeous
dude,
man.
man.
Yeah, like hell yeah.
Hey, I'm not in my 40s yet. Like Yoko said about him, he's not even in his 40s yet. I'm gonna aspire to be like that, like in a year or two. Let me try to do that. I don't know about the hair though, but I'm pretty
The,
sure I could try to get that.
I feel like I have the eyebrows going on. Like I just need to like raise them up a little bit more, and I could kind of like get that look. But dude, yeah, like now with all the muscles, and then now what we know how he looks, it's like man, people are gonna be making some pretty crazy fan like art about him. I forget what
Oh
it's called.
yeah.
Like when they go like you know what I'm talking about. You're
Yeah,
an artist. I
some
don't have to
fan
describe.
art, some
Yeah, I don't
fan
have to
art,
just
some memes, like a little bit of everything.
like Raul's gonna have a pillow of his face. He can kind of like hug it.
Hey, since he's not here, let's just agree we're gonna get him as a present. We're gonna buy him a pillow of the Swordsmith. No, but I mean, and it was funny too because then you really did see that his like what was seemed funny in the beginning that he was training so hard to be able to protect his sword like carrier, which is Sanjiro. It's paying off because if he wasn't that freaking strong, he might have not been able to endure all that whipping. But that was awesome, man. That was really awesome to see that. And but yeah, I think that what the scene just kind of cuts off at a certain point. We don't even finish seeing the rest of that, and that's when it
Yeah.
goes back to Tokito and the kid being attacked by that fish, the creepy looking mustache gentleman fish. And
Yeah.
like you said, once the kid gets hit, and then he I guess this is I don't hopefully it's not his last effort, but
I
as
mean,
an
he made
effort,
yeah, because he
yeah,
made it
as
sound
an
like it was like a
effort,
fatal blow, right? Fatal
yeah,
blow, and
yeah.
it's like, oh man,
But then that's even awesome because if it is kind of a fatal blow, or even if the kid thinks it's a fatal blow, the fact that he's taking almost his last breath, or maybe one of his last few breaths to blow that air bubble onto my man Tokito right there, and then ultimately giving him the air, the power, the freaking determination. Because at this point, he sees Tanjiro's words come into play that someone who you do something for is going to do something for you, and there you go, freaking Tokito bust out of that prison, and that's pretty awesome. It was great.
No, man. I think that's like when I started this episode, I said it's a little frustrating because it's being split into like Tanjiro's story and Tokito's story, and I think the fact that they just both suddenly ended and it leaves you again wanting more like a continuation. It's kind of a little bit, again. We'll get part 8 next Sunday, but it's just like the waiting on it is really frustrating, especially because I know we probably have a few more. Like I think we're looking at least like 4 more, and it's like getting to that point where these 4 next episodes, man, they're probably all going to be really, really great because it's just like think about it. Like we need the love Hashira, we need them to defeat this new moon hate, the hatred demon, and then Gyoko really needs to start showing us more of his power. Which I don't know if he's going to have another transformation because I would really appreciate that because I just continue to not love his design at all. But we'll see what happens. Maybe he'll just be like that one demon that we won't talk about after the season's over with. I mean, he's kind of
Yeah,
funny with his whole art. His personality is funny and he has funny things, but he's not doing a lot for me on that action front kind of things
uh,
that I want.
I I think the only thing for me that's gonna be memorable of him was that one art that he did, the one art piece that he did of just the vase with all the freaking swordsmith bodies and being stabbed and penetrated. That was beautiful, man. Especially for a demon that calls himself an artist, and like all these other characters we see in anime that call themselves artists. That was the one thing that he did, and the way that he described it was great. And I think this was funny when he was talking about the swordsmith and his focus on he like really envied that. That was great. But yeah, outside of that, besides some goofy fish monsters, and the funny baby arms, and it doesn't even like his face doesn't even bother me. Like the whole like mouth, where the eyes should be, and then the eyes where the mouth should be. Like it's still a little weird and unimpressive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Tokito did get out, so that fight's about to like kick it into like second gear or third gear, whatever we're in right now.
Yeah, because I mean, I think we only sent Toki to do like some like two cool things, and they've been really cool. So I can, I'm excited to see more cool things from him. Before we go, Ramon, something that I wanted to talk about from the last week's episode was that you brought up this theory about Kenya's and the Wind Hashira's mom potentially has
Ooh,
been a demon the whole time, man. And again, I'm a little bit frustrated they have not been able to tell you how Kenya is able to turn into a demon himself. But I kind of like once they do, man, I want to talk about that because I think there is some meat to that after me watching that episode twice. And I
yeah.
feel like there is a little bit more that could be explained, or at least we can have our own theories about why we feel like the mom was so strong for being such a little person. Um, but yeah, man, that story really like broke my heart. I know I wasn't here to like talk about it, but it really broke my heart. And the Wind Hashira, even though he's probably the biggest jerk of them all, I do believe he's also like, if not the second strongest, probably to me, he's always seemed like the strongest. And I think it's because of this backstory that he has, because he was this older brother. He lost like five of his siblings at the same time, and I know you guys mentioned like why is he such an asshole to Genya, and like dude, think about it. If like you only had one brother left, let's say you were in the army and you had one brother left, would you really want him to follow you in the army, or would you be like, no, you're not worth it to join the army. You'll never be like. So I feel like there's reason why he's so hateful towards Kenya about him
Yeah.
becoming a demon slayer, not just the fact that he's pathetic and can't do any forms. I think there's definitely more to it. So I think like even though the Wind Hashira comes off as such an asshole, I think he's gonna be the one that a lot of girls are going to be like, I can fix him. I can fix him because there is that vulnerability to him. And again, I think him, man, I think he's the one that's really, once this whole show Demon Slayer's over with, he's the one that's going to be the one that we like are going to talk about. I know Rengoku proved himself to be awesome. Tengen has been awesome. Tokido, the Love Hash, they're all awesome, man. But I think the Wind Hashira is really going to bring another level to his art forms and the way he attacks.
I mean, beautifully said. And yeah, I do. You know what? The thing with that is just like the whole thing with the sibling bond and everything like that. I definitely get it. I mean, you obviously because you listen to us, like you heard me talk a little bit about that, so I won't get too much into like why that relationship is so hard and like what younger siblings and siblings in general think about you. Like I even had a discussion with some people from work the other day, and I was just talking about the importance of sibling bonds. And not everybody has them. Not everybody has like great ones. Not everybody has siblings to begin with, right? So whatever you have, like be lucky enough if you can hold on to that. But another thing with the Win Hashira is the fact that he also still thinks that Kenya doesn't know the truth or doesn't understand the truth. Because like at this point, that's kind of still like in the back of my head. I'm like, oh, when
Mm-hmm.
they finally reunite and they finally are able to like talk about it, that's gonna be a beautiful moment in this anime. And maybe it was already in the manga if they ever addressed it. But because like Kenya has never had the chance to tell his older brother that he knows that he truly didn't kill his mom on purpose. Like he understands now that she was a demon, that he understands that he did it to protect his siblings. And so also on the flip side, can you imagine like being the older sibling and gone with this like feeling like your sibling resents you so much because of something terrible that you did? Well, of course you want to be extra tough because you can't get through them through like nice words and soft emotions. You have to be hard. And maybe not the best approach, but anyway. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, when we get that story of them reuniting, and I hope we do, and they get to talk to each other, I think it's going to be one of the most beautiful things. So you're right, I'm gonna all of a sudden love this guy because right now I hate him because of that one scene where he was like
Yeah.
trying to stab Nezuko like inside of the crate.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's yeah. But I'm excited for that, man. And yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned all those things too, man, because that was such an impactful part of that last episode in that story. It's great.
No, man. And again, this has been doing this great with you, man. I can't wait to continue to get this. I can't wait for like Kenya to take over Inosuke's spot, and we never have to see Inosuke again, and it's just Senetsu and Kenya and, and Tanjiro moving forward. Leave Inosuke alone. He went back to space. He was always an alien, and he just went back to his
And
home
that
planet.
makes a little sense, right? Right. Have him go
Yeah.
hang out with the rest of the pigs on the mountains, I guess, because over there pigs hang out in the mountains. But
Oh man, well this has been great talking to you, Ramon. I can't wait to talk about episode 8, and hopefully Raul can join us. And again, don't eat tacos from food trucks that don't have names.
yeah, dude, don't trust him.
All right, man. I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good night.
Hey, good night.